you doing? This is Black Shy Guy coming at you with another video and another interview of Colby Covington. Hey, I didn't realize this interview was out, so it's I think a couple of days or a week late. I think I am. Listen, it's better. At least I'm here with the interview, right? Better late than never. But I want to thank Khabib Villas for the link of this interview. Good looking out, Khabib. Good looking out. But anyway, we're gonna dive into this interview. I've never seen this one, so it's gonna be an actual first experience for me. So, hey, we know what Colby's interviews be like, all right? And hey, I don't know if he's gonna do another interview after this, but his interviews always are interesting and more interesting as they go along. Listen, we all know Colby Covington is a hated man and a loved man by many also. But what interests me about Colby is his charisma, his confidence, and his cockiness. I mean, it's just, he reminds me of McGregor. He does. He reminds me of McGregor, and I think UFC is they're gonna live through him after McGregor. Whatever happens to McGregor, obviously the UFC wants him to come back, but Colby is the next one. But we gotta admit it. Colby cannot lose this next match against Usman. He cannot. It will be detrimental. He's got to win this one. He's got to win the next one. If he wants to stay solidified and noticeable, he's got to win the next fight against Usman. But anyway, let's dive into this interview. This is Black Shy Guy. Thanks for sitting at my table. Make sure you hit the like, subscribe, and also the notification button to get notified anytime I come up with a new video. Let's dive in. So, we also are going to give a shout out to these guys, Rozo and Dennis, for interviewing Colby. And we're going to dive in. We ain't even going to waste time, all right? We ain't even going to waste time. Let's dive in, man. Let's dive in. We ain't even going to waste time. Let's start this up.
We have to bring up, we have to confirm it. Reports aside, is it official? Will you be facing Kamaru Usman on November 6th in the States?
It is official. I've signed my bout agreement. I know Usman signed his side. They paid him finally enough money to come take this ass whooping. So it's going down, and it looks like it's going to happen in Madison Square Garden, November 6th, bearing any, crazy calls from the government officials over there. You don't know what they're going to do, if they're going to shut down the city, if they're going to require vaccine passports to get in the arena.
I hope not.
There's still a lot of hoops to go through before November 6th, but that date, it will happen. If it doesn't happen in New York, I would assume it happens, in the home city of the UFC, which is Las Vegas. So, all I'm worried about is November 6th and that date. I will be ready at my best, and I'll peg myself as the pound for pound #1 fighter that day.
Dude, there's so much to talk about, but first thing I want to mention is Madison Square Garden. I mean, it's a palace.
I want it to
anyone who's a combat fight fan. And whenever me and Casper go into Madison Square Garden, you kind of touch the ground a little bit because you're like, man, I can't believe I'm here. So such an iconic venue.
What soda he
when you think of Madison Square Garden,
what soda is that? I ain't never seen any type of soda like that. But
anyway, the fact that you're going to be headlining a fight there, what comes to mind when you think about the other great memories that you've had from Madison Square Garden? Is there a fight or a moment that comes to mind now that you know you might be fighting there?
Yeah, definitely. Hulkamania started there.
Hey.
For wrestling fans. So, all the wrestling fans out there know Hulkamania started there. Ali Frazier happened down there. So there's a ton of history there. It's the most iconic arena in the USA. There's the biggest events and the most entertainment that goes down. It always happens at Madison Square Garden and NYC, the biggest market in the world. Yep. So, it's an honor, and it's really a privilege to be able to go there and fight there. And I hope it ends up happening there. I hope that, there's not any dirty politics that go down and they prevent it from happening, because I'd love to light up the Garden and flip NYC upside down.
Yeah, absolutely, man. Now, let's unpack this whole thing.
I don't think it's going to go down in the Garden. I really don't think it's going to go down in the Garden, because we all know how Dana White is. Dana White does not like the dirty politics that goes around in New York City with freaking Mr. Cuomo down there. But you know how that goes. I have my freaking disagreements with that, and I have my opinions about that. But we're not even going to discuss that. That's neither here nor there. But the thing is, if it possibly goes down in New York City, especially with the COVID rising, it's not going to be good. It's going to be too many regulations involved, and I don't think Dana White is going to go for that. That's why I don't believe it's going to happen in New York City. I just don't believe it's going to happen there, especially with Dana White's stance on their political agendas down there.
Because this fight has been talked about and speculated for obviously a very long time. Dana White's beat the drum about how it's one of the greatest fights he's seen, but we didn't hear anything from Usman for a while and nothing was locked in. When exactly did this actually come together? When did you know that this was official?
Yeah, I didn't even know it was official.
Oh,
either,
I've noticed it was going to happen for many months now. Dana White was promising the media. Hunter Campbell was promising that it was going to happen. They were giving their word. They don't go back on their word at the UFC.
Shout out for this interview.
They're very professional and they're very businesslike over there. And when they give you their word is gold. So I knew it was going to happen for many months. It was just a matter of how long it was going to take and how long, Usman was going to delay it. He's got to get some new EPO. He is the CEO of EPO. So Marty Usman is looking for his doctor to heal him up, get some new EPO, and be ready to go for round 2 with me because.
Listen. Listen, is Usman using? Because for him to be throwing that out constantly, and I'm not saying, listen, calm down, relax. I'm not saying I believe Colby, all right? I'm not saying. But, and I don't hear any other accusations thrown at Usman other than Colby throwing it. But he's going crazy with it, man. He's just going real crazy with it. But if you heard any murmurs about Usman using, put it down in the comments. Let me know if you heard any murmurs about it. Because I'm dying to know whether it's true or not.
He knows he got lucky the first time we fought. It was an uneven playing field that night. It's going to be a completely different outcome this time. It's going to be a one-on-one, mano-a-mano fight, and it's going to be a test to see who's the best welterweight in the world. And I love the media dorks out there. Everybody's pegging him. Oh, he's #1 pound for pound. They want to downplay my accomplishments, guys. They don't want to talk about what I've done in this sport. I've achieved greatness in this sport, but they just want to act like, nothing. They don't want to appreciate me, man. They just want to downplay me at every stop. They don't want to talk about me being the first fighter to ever go to the White House, me being a UFC champ, me being the #1 ranked fighter. They just want to talk about, oh, I got destroyed last time. It's not competitive, this fight. Oh, he's going to get destroyed.
All right, there. I love Colby. You guys know I do. The ones who follow me, you guys know I do. But the thing is, it can be debated if you're the #1 because Edwards is there, man. Edwards is there, man. We all know who Edwards is fighting on that card, and that's going to be another video. But Edwards is there. He could even be debatable, be considered the #1 to go for the title. A lot of people are saying Colby don't deserve it for the simple fact that he hasn't fought since the Woodley fight, I believe. He hasn't fought since the Woodley fight. So it is debatable why a lot of people are like, why is he the #1? A lot of people don't think he deserved it. You know what I mean? And the fact that you were the first fighter in the White House, that is an achievement. Anybody who goes to the White House thinks it's an achievement. So why not consider it an achievement? So, hey, it is an achievement. What people are, the reason people are saying why he doesn't have a chance is because he hasn't fought in a while. And that's what makes me believe that he's the underdog in this fight because he hasn't fought in a while and Usman has been constantly fighting. We all know that. And don't get me, listen, I want Colby to win this next fight. I do. I want him to win this next fight. But is he gonna be climbing a battlefield? He is. He hasn't fought in a while. And we all know how it is to get back in. Well, I don't know how it is, but we all know how fighters look when they get back in the octagon after being absent for a long time. I mean, not everybody can beat Diaz. Diaz was absent out of the octagon for a long time. And look, he took Edwards to the final round. I mean, maybe Colby will do the same thing. Who knows? But I'm just saying, it's going to be an uphill battle.
Destroy this and that. They just want to talk shit on my name because they know they can't stop me. And they know what I've done. And my resume speaks for itself. So that's why you guys are going to be one of the last people to get this interview. I'm sick of these dorks out here, these little bloggers in their mom's basements.
So
they're not even the best burger flippers in their towns. And they want to talk about me, the best fighter in the UFC, being, not irrelevant and not deserving. Not deserving.
Hey, you see what I'm saying?
I was going to say, this is going to be a huge fight, but I know that you mentioned to us that you kind of agreed straight away after your last win to take this fight with Dana. You guys spoke. But I'm wondering, was there much more in the negotiations? Was it a situation where you agreed straight away? And why do you think it took Kamaru so long to sign on the dotted line? I think he mentioned at the start of this interview just before he was trying to negotiate for more money to fight you. Break that down for us.
He is the champ.
You know, he was trying to find any way out of not fighting me, guys. I mean, he was looking. You've seen him begging for Nate Diaz. The guy's a lightweight jobber. The guy's a Stockton soy boy. He's not even a 500 level fighter. I mean, the guy hasn't won a fight in like 6 years. The guy's not even relevant. He's just begging to fight that guy and get an easy paycheck and do anything to avoid me and not rematch. He knows the first time we fought, it was a fluke, man. He got lucky. I slipped on a banana peel in the 5th round. I was beating him 3 rounds to 1. That was my fight. He knows that. Deep down inside, he knows that. He felt me in there. He really knows what I bring to the table, and that's why he was trying to avoid it. But, you know, the UFC, they get stuff down over there.
If y'all didn't see that fight, y'all got to go watch it. If you didn't see that fight and you're watching this interview, go right now and go watch that fight. That was a really good fight. That's why I said Colby does have a chance, but his absence out of the octagon is a real detriment going up against Usman again. You know what I mean? And he cannot lose Colby, you cannot lose this fight, my dude. You can't lose it. You got to win it, man. You got to win this one.
Hunter Campbell don't play games. You know, Dana White, they don't mess around. When they want, you know, these fights done, they're going to happen, and they're going to do whatever it takes to make it happen. And that's what happened. They did whatever it takes to make it happen on his side. You know, I agreed to basic terms, and I'm ready to go out there and smash him and cement my legacy, you know. And I just can't wait to see what the headlines are after I smash his face in November 8th, Monday morning.
Just out of curiosity, because it's such a massive fight, is there any extra incentive for you, you know, financially, anything like pay-per-view points or anything like that?
No, unfortunately, I'm not the so-called champion. You know, I really am America's champion. I'm Donald Trump's favorite fighter. I'm the people's champion. But, you know, Marty's keeping this belt warm for me. He's got the official title. He got lucky. He cheated last time we fought. You know, that's why he got the name Marty Fake News. Man, he's a cheater. He's a coward. He slowed my momentum when I kicked him in the liver. He called the nut shot. No one wants to talk about how I beat him in multiple rounds, and I had him all the way up into the finish, and it was an early stoppage. I was still in the fight. I stood right up and protested it as he hit me in the back of the head 6 or 7 times in the finishing sequence, which wasn't a finish. So, you know, I was ready to go. I'm ready to go. I'm going to get that title, and I'm going to earn my right in this company as the biggest fighter this company's ever seen.
It's fascinating because I know when we spoke last time, you mentioned,
was it an early stoppage?
How you'd give Kamaru a rematch if things go to plan and you win that title. Is that still the plan for you? And was there like a rematch clause or anything put in that contract for Kamaru before he signed it?
I'm going to tell you guys the honest truth because no one wants to talk about my evolution as a fighter. They just want to talk about Marty. He's unbeatable. He's beating these lightweight scrubs. He's beating a guy I was beating up 10 years ago. My son, journeyman, fragile guy, Street Judas Masvidal. I mean, the guy's a bum. He's been beating absolute nobodies, and they're talking about his progression as a fighter. They haven't seen a glimpse of my evolution. You know, it was a walk in the park, my last fight with Tyron Woodley, and I didn't even show a glimpse of my evolution. It's been almost a year since then. So, you know, I'm going to completely dismantle Usman on November 6th, and I'm going to show him levels above everybody in this organization.
Everybody knows how hard you train. You're a studious guy. Since that day in December 14th, 2019, how many times have you rewatched that fight?
Probably 20 to 30 times. You know, I've studied it meticulously. You know, it's despicable, the reffing in that fight. I mean, just absolutely atrocious. You know, the momentum shifts, the momentum stops, giving him multiple breaks, 5-minute breaks to recover, you know, when I had him badly hurt. So I see a lot of holes, you know, in his game. And I saw a lot of things that I did wrong that are going to be corrected. You know, I've been at a new gym. You know, I have my striking coach, Cesar Carnero. We've worked, you know, just extensively on little tiny game plan issues that Usman's not going to be able to stop. No one's exploited these weaknesses. I mean, and I'm the guy that can do it because I'm the guy that can push him to the limit, make him wrestle, make him have to fight, and he can't put everything together. And he's
the thing is, I don't believe the referee stopped the fight a lot of times for Usman to get a break because I'm going to be really honest here, and it's going to really hurt the Usman fans, and I don't mean to upset anyone by saying what I'm going to say, but I don't believe UFC is protecting Usman. Because UFC knows that Usman is not a crowd bringer. He is not a ticket seller. I mean, a lot of people consider Usman to be a very boring fighter. I mean, grabbles. He holds a lot. He only brought wrestling to the game when he started, I guess. I mean, his striking has gotten a lot better, but it still hasn't bring anybody to the yard. Usman is not a crowd seller. Just like, let's admit it. I love Amanda Nunes, but she's not a ticket seller. She doesn't bring everybody to the yard. And UFC knows that too. That's why UFC wanted Ronda Rousey so bad to beat her. Don't get it twisted. Dana White wanted Ronda Rousey to win that match. He wanted her to win that match because Ronda Rousey is the ticket seller. Just like Colby is a big ticket seller. You don't think Dana White wants Colby to win that Usman Part 2? You don't think Dana White wants Colby Covington to bust that ass? He does. He does. So I don't believe in any way that the UFC and the referee was protecting Usman at all in that fight because the ticket seller was Colby Covington. But unfortunately, that night, the better talent was Usman. I have to admit it. As much as I like Covington, he was the better fighter that day.
He's good when he's able to control the fight, take guys down, get them tired, and then boom, he's going to knock you out. He's going to get you thinking, take down again, and boom, strike. It's not going to be like that this time. I've been working hard with my coach, Cesar Carnera, Daniel Valverde. I have a new strength and conditioning coach, Jonathan Lopez. We put together a crazy plan, guys.
Jonathan
I'm in the best shape of my life. You're going to see the Cardio King November 6th, live on pay-per-view, Madison Square Garden.
Yeah,
baby.
boy.
Dude, let's talk a little bit about that moment because people know
talk about
how
his coaches,
unquestionably
man.
disciplined you are. You don't drink, you don't smoke, you don't really party. You just train, eat clean, and arguably live the perfect athletic lifestyle. So when you're so singularly focused and driven, and I mean, you've been doing this, pretty much your whole life.
I'm going to look him up, Lopez.
Take us into that moment when things didn't quite go your way against Kamaru Usman. I mean, how do you approach that losing element?
I
imagine if someone like yourself who's so invested, who puts in so much work to get perfection from himself, and then everything, you do everything right, and then you get into that fight and it doesn't go the way that you wanted mentally. How did you approach that? And how did you get past that? And was there a moment there where it was a little bit difficult to get past? Because it would have been a difficult thing when you walked out of that octagon and you were like, man, this didn't quite play out the way that I wished.
Yeah, I didn't dwell on it at all. The next day, I knew I wasn't at my best on December 14th, 2019. It wasn't my best performance, guys, but no one knew on the inside behind the curtains what really happened, the things that led up to the fight. I had food poisoning. That's not something I say, it's the truth. I mean, the UFC Performance Institute, they can attest to it. There's people there that had to come by my hotel and give me a rehydration kit because I was puking 30 times before the fight. So multiple things with little injuries, little things, the bad calls in the fight, the food poisoning. Just, it wasn't my best night, guys. And I knew.
And I'm not trying to make excuses for Colby, but if that is true, that can cause a big influence in your fighting performance. So, I mean, hope is true. Hope is actually comes out that is true. And the fact that he's saying you can ask all of those people, it can be considered true. So, hey, let's just hope he doesn't have food poisoning in this one.
I didn't get my best night, and he didn't get the best Colby Chaos Covington he's ever seen December 14th, 2019. But I was able to get over it because I'm like, you know what? It was his best night. It was my worst night, and that's what happened. I still should have beat him, and it was that close. But, I'm a hardworking blue-collar American. I'm just like any guy in this country. If we face a little adversity, we can't dwell on it. We can't cry over spilled milk. We can't cry over the past. All I can focus is on the moment and the future. And right now in the moment, I'm the best I've ever been. And in the future, I'm going to be better than I've ever been. And I'm going to correct all the wrongs and all the weaknesses that I've had from my past.
I think you were sort of in the middle or towards the end of all those sort of issues at American Top Team. Obviously, you've got Colby Covington incorporated now. But I don't know. I was thinking about it the other day, and that would have been incredibly difficult, like training at a gym where there's so many people that you're not sort of getting along with, and you've got people breaking up your sessions and sort of not everybody on the same page. Looking back on it, how much did that sort of affect you and your progression and maybe even your performances, do you think?
You guys hit the nail on the head. I didn't want to bring up their name and give them any clout because they don't deserve anything. They're not
bring up their names.
Not, this top team, and they're not American because, they don't believe in freedom of speech. So, they kick someone out for freedom of speech. But, the energy that was in the gym every day, I didn't want to complain, make those excuses, but it was bad. I mean, everybody knows the history that I've had with some of those fighters, Journeyman Street Judas Masvidal, Doofus Dustin Poirier, the fake nice guy, the fake charitable, family man. Oh,
Exactly.
his little
Mention the
Jezebel of a
names.
wife, but that energy every single day, these guys trying to attack me when I'm training, stop my training session. They can't be professional and business-like and just mind their own business. They have to come over here crying. And I couldn't really train, and it zapped my energy, man. And my focus wasn't there because I was always watching my back, worried about if someone was going to come up behind me and sucker punch me. So it did affect my progression as a fighter. But
Wow,
that's why I'm glad I removed that situation and that bad energy, and I've gotten in good energy at Colby Covington Incorporated and MMA Masters. I have such a great team behind me now, just people that are a family to me, that love me. It's not about the clout. It's not about the paychecks. It's about evolving. It's about getting better as martial artists and as people in life. So, I have the best situation I've ever been in right now with my coaches and my team and everybody behind me. And I feel unstoppable. I don't feel there's any man in the world that can stop me. I don't care if King Kong and the Hulk were in the same ring that night. I'm getting my hand.
Something quick. I mean, this something has to be gone. I mean, the way Dustin Poirier acted after he beat Conor McGregor, you can't be any more of a gentleman than that, though. He was a real gentleman, despite Conor McGregor saying all those things and talking about his wife. Dustin still was a gentleman in that fight. Yeah, he said what he said in the end or whatever, but I mean, what more can a man take? And Colby's talking about his character and not being a real gentleman and all of this and then all of that. And we all saw the video that he released talking about how Dustin basically knocked out his helper and was basically flexing on him about it and stuff like that. But I mean, from what I've seen from Dustin, in interviews and stuff like that, he doesn't seem like a bad guy, but who knows? I mean, Colby did train with him, so he probably is. I don't know. I mean, it's just mixed feelings I got about Dustin Poirier. I do got mixed feelings about him.
Hand raised. It doesn't matter who's in there with me.
It's interesting to hear you talk about how good things are now, and you're in such a good place mentally and with your training. And people talk often about how great rivalries bring out the best in both competitors. People need great rivalries in combat sports careers, and I wonder if the Usman fight kind of did that. Even though it was a loss, it didn't go your way. I wonder if seeing Usman and him being so active, and then obviously him sort of he's still the champion. I wonder if that sort of brought something out of you and helped you kind of level up in a way that the outcome of that fight that night helped you to get you to where you are now.
It did, guys, and that's not any credit to him. It's more credit to the game and the state of where the championship level caliber is in the UFC. So before I was playing games, guys. When I was fighting him before, it was games. I was there for a show. I was trying to entertain the crowd. I was trying to give a show for the people. They pay these hard-earned money, to watch our fights, to pay for the pay-per-view. So I was giving a show. I was playing around. I wasn't taking it serious. Now I'm serious, guys. Now I'm pissed off. Now I have a bad taste in my mouth and a chip on my shoulder. And November 6th, I'm going to show the best Colby Chaos Covington.
Colby. You should have been taking it serious then, my dude. You can't be saying you was joking around and all of this and all of that. And then in the same, and I got to disagree with you there, Colby. I got to disagree with you there, my dude. I mean, I got to keep it real. You can't say that you were not taking him serious, but in the same breath, in other interviews, you were saying, I took it serious, but I was basically not in the best form that day or whatever the case may be. I mean, why not take that fight serious, man? I mean, that was a rivalry all the way to the coming fight. I mean, why would you not take it serious? And the fact that you're saying you're serious now, you should have been serious then, Colby. That's hard to hear from a fan, my dude. Like, I mean, they want you to win. They want you to win. Fans want you to win. So when you say you didn't take it serious, then they're like, yo, I came to see you win and you didn't take it serious? I mean, come on, Colby. You got to be better than that. You got to be better. You got to be better, Colby. I gotta hit you on the head for that, man. I got to hit you on the head for that. You can't be doing that.
and it will be a different outcome. I'm going to finish Marty Fake Newsman. It's not going to the judges, and there's not going to be a ref in there to save him and stop my momentum. I will finish him inside that octagon, and I will be crowned undisputed welterweight champion of the world. And guess what? He's not going to want a rematch. You know, unlike me where it was close and I deserve a rematch and I got screwed out of that last fight and it was an early stoppage, this fight, I'm going to finish Marty. He's going to be begging to retire. He's not going to want to fight me ever again. I guarantee me when
you said that. I think you brought it up earlier in the interview, and I want to sort of get into it now. I mean, it's been a little bit since we've been able to see you fight.
It's a really good interview.
How do you sort of deal with the fact that you haven't been able to stay as active as you would have liked because you were waiting for this fight to get locked in? And sort of take us into how you deal with the fact that you know, this next fight, it's still a little while away, and then you got to go in there and you got to get rid of all of that rust or deal with all that inactivity. Do you believe in cage rust? Do you believe in inactivity affecting a fighter? Break it down for us.
I think so.
No, definitely not. I mean, who believes in ring rust? You believe in ring rust if you're mentally weak, and that's what you're going to put in your mind, and you're going to manifest those thoughts, and that's what's going to come out. You know, that's a big energy type thing, and people don't understand their energy and the thoughts that you put in your head every day. They come into real life. Those actions come into real life. You know, I predicted everything that I was going to do in my career. No one wants to believe it. Everybody wants to downplay it. No one wants to appreciate me. Everybody wants to just say, "Oh, it was easy. I didn't do this. I didn't do that." They just want to talk shit, throw rocks on their glass house because that's all they can do. You know, they can't come and step in the octagon and accomplish what I've accomplished. So, you know, I'm a hardworking man. You know, I come from, you know, a family of military. You know, I've seen, you know, I fight for our troops and I see the way they train every single day. They're getting up at 3 or 4 in the morning, 5 in the morning, and they're working all single day tirelessly, you know, sacrificing everything for the red, white, and blue, for our country, America. And I see the way the first responders, they leave their families every single day and they have to put everything. They have to.
See, this is why I love Colby, man. This is why people don't understand. This is why I like Colby a lot. Because he stands. I mean, believe it or not, whatever's going on with our country or whatever, I still love this country. You know what I mean? Because I came from my country's in a bad state right now, and I feel grateful that I'm in this country. You know what I mean? Even though people are not liking this country right now for reasons that I refuse to talk about right now because we're talking about Colby Covington, but I like the fact I like his patriotism. I like it a lot. And the fact that he brought up the ring rust, according to the military troops that he supports, that's a good point. And he didn't realize how good of a point he made right there. The fact that Marines, you know, Army men, soldiers of our country and soldiers of other countries, they don't go to war every day. They don't go to war every day. They go to war like what? Probably once every what that we know about. You know, obviously some of them get sent to covert ops that we don't know about, but they don't go every day. So no matter what time of day they get called, they got to be mentally ready for that. So does war rust appear then? No, because they got to be mentally ready and physically trained for that. So that's a good point Colby brought up, and he didn't realize how good of a point he brought up. That's a really good point. The fact that you have not been in the ring for a year doesn't mean you have ring rust, because you're mentally and physically prepared for it whenever you're called for it, just like a soldier is. I like that, Colby. I like that. I like that knowledge.
To put their neck on the line. They don't know if they're going to come home to those families. So that's what puts things in perspective for me and helps me to work hard every day, to keep getting better. It doesn't matter if I'm fighting. I'm still training my butt off, and I'm working my absolute hardest to keep improving and keep being the best version of myself. Every time I fought in my career, guys, I've gotten better. And you've seen a new level of Colby that you haven't seen before. And I guarantee the same thing is going to happen November 6th.
Well, yeah, that's the interesting thing. Like, you've obviously moved on to train with Cesar Carnero, MMA Masters. He's moved on as well, and he's training with Trevor Whitman. We've seen his evolution. We saw your evolution in the Woodley fight. It's almost like, would you say this is a part 2, or does this feel to you like almost a completely different fight? How different will this fight be, and how different is the Usman now that you're going to be facing compared to 2019?
He's a better striker, Colby.
It's the same Usman, the same Marty Juiceman from 2019. It's a different Colby Chaos Covington in 2021. The thing is, He's beating a guy he's beaten up for his whole career at his gym. You know, he was beating that guy up. He's a little lightweight scrub, Dilbert. I mean, the guy's a nobody. The guy got dropped with a jab. That's absolutely pathetic. That you're a lightweight for a reason, and he beat him up. So it's not special to beat up some guy you beat up your whole career at your gym. And then you beat up journeyman, the fragile guy, Street Judas Masvidal. You think there's pride and honor in that, beating that guy twice? You think you're a big deal, this pound for pound god, the greatest of all time, beating a guy who has almost 20 losses on his record? The guy's a complete scrub. I mean, I beat that guy, like I said, 10 years ago. He's my son. I was beating him up for the last 8 years straight. He never won a second of a round off of me. That guy's absolutely pathetic. And if you call yourself a GOAT for fighting that guy, oh, I love it. Keep buying into that. Keep feeding into that ego. And you know, the media is going to keep stroking his ego like he's this god and this pound for pound number one. So it's going to be great. It's the same guy that I fought before, and I see all the holes and weaknesses in his game, and I'm going to exploit them. November 6th, live, only on pay-per-view.
Is a part of you kind of glad that Kamaru was able to stay the champion and hold the belt and, you know, go on a win streak and defend that title, and now you get to fight him for the title? Rather, let's say, if, you know, Gilbert Burns became the champion, or, you know, Masvidal became the champion, do you feel like it's more of a statement if you do it against Kamaru Usman?
Come on, Masvidal would not have even held that.
Yeah,
come
I was
on,
nervous.
Let's be serious.
You know,
I like
if he fought
Masvidal,
that,
but I mean, come
if
on.
that nervous or
No
if that
way,
fragile
Masvidal.
guy, Street Judas Masvidal, would have somehow got lucky and hit a Hail Mary again like he did to make his career, I was nervous because he would have avoided me so hard. He would have never fought me. I mean, he's already avoided me so long, and the fans can see that now that he's a little bitch and he's my son. So if he would have won, I would have never got to fight for the title again. So, yeah, I am glad that Marty Juiceman still has the belt, and it's a fake belt. You know, it's not a real belt, but it will be unified November 6th.
With Colby, when it rain, it pours. When it rain, it pours, baby.
And, you know, I'm happy, you know, and everybody thinks he's this much better and he's this god, pound for pound number one, greatest welterweight of all time. It just makes it that much sweeter November 6th when I get my hands on him and completely decimate him and completely end his career. The narrative is going to be so funny on Monday morning after that fight. I can't wait to see what the headlines read. They'll be making excuses for him that, oh, you know, he had an off night, oh, this and that. They'll never give the credit that I'm due.
It's going to be interesting as well because if things do go to plan and you do become the champ, so you believe that Kamaru Usman won't want that third fight. You believe that he'll want to sort of move along. And my thought on it is, what is your thought on the division? Because if it's not Kamaru Usman challenging you for the title, the guys in the rankings, you know, you got names like Leon Edwards, you know, Jorge Masvidal will probably be trying to.
Listen, whoever wins, if Edwards wins that fight that he's about to fight in that fight card that night, and whoever wins out of Colby, I hope it's Colby, and Usman, Leon Edwards deserves a title shot. I will be pretty damn surprised if Dana White does not give Leon Edwards a title shot. I would be damn well surprised because listen. We all know, and business-wise, Dana White does not want to see a Leon Edwards against Usman because it's not going to sell that good. It's going to sell, but it's not going to sell that good at all. You better have other fights lined up in that lineup because Usman Leon is not going to sell good. It's just not. You know, we all have to admit it. They're just not that captivating to people, even though they're fantastic, both of them, especially Leon, who's been on a tear. He's been on a tear. But Leon deserves a title shot if he wins, especially if he wins that fight that night.
Get a title shot as well because you guys have that great rivalry as well between you two. Then you got names like Nick Diaz in there. I know Nick Diaz is coming back. How do you view the rest of the
Nick
division
Diaz
if you did become champion?
Wow.
And who would you potentially even...
When's the last time Nick won a fight? I'm not trying to knock him, but damn.
Look at giving a title shot to if it wasn't Kamaru Usman.
Guys, there's only one fight to make after I absolutely destroy Marty Fake Newsman and dump him on his head and give him a wedgie live in Madison Square Garden November 6th. The only fight to make is me and Dustin, the soy boy Soye. That's the only fight, guys. Him and his family, they're Louisiana swamp trash. Him and his little Jezebel of a wife, him and his little kid that he uses as a prop, like he's a family man. The fake charity guy, which is a write-off for his business. He doesn't really donate that money to kids and people. He's just using that as a tax write-off. He's a fake nice guy on camera. He's a piece of shit off camera. I've seen this guy. I know how he is. I've seen how he treats other people. He's a piece of shit. He's a dirtbag. I'm going to expose him. He said he was on site. I thought he was on site, guys. Why is he quiet now? Because he knows I'm coming for him, and he knows he's not a man of his word. He talked all this shit before to the media. Oh, it's on site when I see Colby. I've seen him 50 times since then, and he walked right away. He put his eyes down, walked right past me like the good little bitch that he is. So I am Dustin Doofus Saurier's daddy. His little Jezebel of a wife, Joe Lee, his little props for his family. That's the only fight to make after I destroy Marty Fake Newsman November 6th.
So just quickly going off that, what did you think of the way he was able to beat Conor McGregor just a few weeks ago?
He didn't beat him. That's not a win. That was a fluke. Conor broke his ankle. He threw a kick and landed on the elbow. It's a complete fluke and accident. That's not a win. You can't count that as a win. So, I don't count that as a win. It's a fluke injury. You got the luckiest, whatever you want to call it in the history of the sport. So good. You got a nice, easy paycheck, and you're walking in and strutting in the guy's face at his downfall. Why he's sitting there laying on the ground. That guy just made your career, Dustin. You should show that guy some respect. He made you the biggest money you'll ever make in your career. You're a jobber. You're a nobody. No one would care about you if it wasn't for Conor. And you're strutting in his face. So who's the nice guy now? He just patted yours and your little prop of a family, your little Louisiana swamp trash family. He just patted your guy's bank account.
Wow.
You're strutting in his face. I thought you were a nice, charitable guy. No, you're a piece of shit. I'm going to expose you. And if I do see you in the streets of South Florida, I guarantee I'm not holding back, and I'm going to drop you on the fucking concrete, you piece of shit.
Man, I'll tell you, so many rivalries. I wonder as well, because just trying to do the math on this, by the time you fight Kamaru, if everything goes to plan and you do become the champion, who knows?
Hot,
Dustin
man.
might
Bringing
already have a fight booked in with Charles Oliveira. So is the plan to fight him if he becomes the lightweight champion? And if that's the case, are you doing it at welterweight? I know you're not the biggest welterweight. Do you think you could even make it down to lightweight and go for a double title? What's your thought there?
We can meet in the middle. I'm not a big welterweight. To be honest, guys, Dustin weighs a damn near 200 pounds. He's a big guy, man. He just cuts all that weight because he's scared to fight real men. The thing is Dustin's not a real man. He doesn't want to fight in his real weight class. He's cutting all this weight because he's a bully. He doesn't want to fight his real weight class. The guy weighs damn near 200 pounds. I weigh 185. I can make 160, 163. We can meet in the middle, 155 and 170. So I'm not a bully. I fight at my natural weight. I don't need to cut all this weight to get to lightweight to have this big advantage over guys. He knows he can't beat guys at 170. He knows he's not a well-rounded fighter. He's a one-punch, type fighter, lucky fighter. He's a stand-up fighter, brawl, stand in the pocket, get hit, take one, give one. He's not a complete fighter, and he knows what happens if he fought his real weight class, 170 welterweight. He would get destroyed. So, he cuts all of that weight. He's a little bully. He's a piece of shit. We can meet at any weight class. We can put both belts on the line. Who knows if he's going to come fight, Charles? The guy's a nobody, too, so he doesn't put any pay-per-view draws for him. He doesn't make him a lot of money if he fights that fight. So, he might wait and see how the division plays out and how the UFC landscape plays out. But I can tell you one thing. We weigh the same, and this fight needs to happen. He talked all that shit to the media. So come back it up, bitch.
Well, people love a great rivalry, man. But going back to, arguably the biggest rivalry right now, you and Usman, I have to ask you this, man, because obviously everybody loves the nicknames that you give people, and you've dubbed him as the CEO of EPO. Obviously, EPO a lot in the headlines lately with, TJ Dillashaw's return and stuff. Where exactly does that stem from? Why is he the CEO of EPO?
We finally.
Because he's been doing EPO his whole career. It's so obvious, his chemical imbalance in his body. He's got the pimples all over his back, all over his face. You're a 35-year-old man. You're not going through puberty and you're in your teens anymore. You should not be having that chemical imbalance and that breakout. That's from his testosterone and being out of whack, and his estrogen to testosterone levels are out of whack. So, he is the CEO of EPO. I've heard firsthand from some people that he trained with, some people that I might have went to wrestle to college with that said the same thing. They could verify it, that he has done EPO and he's injected it in his asshole, in his ass, not his asshole. Excuse my language there, but he's injected in his ass. So he's the CEO of EPO. He's Marty Juiceman.
Is that a concern for you? When fighting him?
Juiceman.
No, because I felt it before. I know what it comes to the table. I know he's going to be doing it. There's ways to get around the test. They're not blood testing. They're doing a piss test here and there. They're not going to blood test them. They're going to let him get away with it. But, you got to live with that the rest of your life. You got to live with that on your conscience, that you had to cheat your whole way through your career. I know I'm an all-natural American. I worked the hard way. Blue collar, earned it, blood, sweat, and tears. This is earned to the very core, to the very root, naturally. I didn't cheat. I didn't cut corners. I took the long way to get here. So, he has to live with that. He's going to have problems later in life. His organs, all that stuff's going to shut down. He's taking years off his life, but that's the choice he has to live with. It. That's what he wants to do. That's what he's doing. But you cannot stop destiny. And this is destiny. November 6th is destiny. Colby Chaos Covington will be the UFC welterweight champion in the world. And there's not a steroid in the world that can stop it.
We've seen a lot of really entertaining lead-ups to fights with yourself, and obviously a lot of heat in that first lead-up. What are you expecting from Fight Week, Colby? And also the fact that you don't really get along with Kamaru Usman's team yourself. Obviously, you and his manager have had some issues in the past. Are you expecting a pretty heated Fight Week? Give us a little preview.
Come on, stop asking obvious questions. Obviously.
I'm just expecting a normal fight week for me. Wherever I go, it's chaos and it's unpredictable. You don't know what I'm going to bring to the table. But I can tell you, he's not going to want to mess with the crew that I'm rolling in with. Some of the first responders, my cornerman, Sergeant Charlie Weiss of the Miami Beach Police Department. The guy's a savage. And I have, the Secret Service loves me. I stand for all the troops, all the military, all the first responders. So you don't want to mess with me. You want to come over here. You want to step into my lane and act like you've done something yourself when you're 1-4 as a fighter. You're a manager. Shut up. Stop talking about the real men. Let the real men do work. This is between Marty Juiceman and Colby Chaos Covington. This is between no one else. And I'm sure UFC will do a great job with their security team, keeping us separated until we step in that octagon, because I don't want to have to drop Marty on his head or beat him up before the fight and him have to pull out with a sore thumb.
We'll let you go in a sec, Colby. We don't want to take up your whole day. But I was going to ask you, when you hear a lot of people talk about Usman, the evolution, the way he's knocking people out. People have him on the pound for pound, rankings. Do you have a chip on your shoulder? Does that put a chip on your shoulder? And do you feel like an underdog, coming into this fight?
Absolutely. And I know I am an underdog. The odds makers, they're fools too. They're all losers. These guys have never worked hard in their life. They don't know what it's like to go earn something. So they want to peg him as a 2.5 to 1 favorite, 3 to 1 favorite. It's a joke, man. It's a mockery to the sport, but they don't know the sport. They're watching him beat these little lightweights, these little guys that he's supposed to beat, these guys that I've already beaten years ago. He followed in my footsteps. If I make a sandwich, he's going to make the sandwich the same way. And they think he's a god now. He's a pound for pound number one. He's knocking people out, blah, blah, blah. Okay, we'll see. You don't want to talk about what happened the first time, how I was beating him in multiple rounds, how I had him almost finished in the fight until he had to fake a nut shot and change my momentum. It was an early stoppage. They don't want to talk about those things. They don't want to give me the credit where the credit's due. They just want to, they want to just talk shit because they can't do anything. And they're little bloggers. They didn't even get